Welcome everyone to another edition to As Above, So Below Radio. I'm your host, Martin Hodgson, and it gives me great pleasure to have you tuning in today. When you get a chance, please visit the website holisticadvocate.com and sign up for our free newsletter. Also, take a moment to subscribe and become a member. You'll not only gain access to our commercial-free, subscriber-based interviews, but also treat yourself to an assortment of fascinating people worth listening to, and all for as low as $6.95 per month. Today's guest is Tom Paladino. Having spent 25 years in his research into scalar energy, Tom has been inspired by several scientists, most notably from the works of Nikola Tesla. Determined, he pursued a course of independent study to better comprehend this form of energy, which we know as Prana, Chi, radiant energy, and zero-point energy. His dedication and focus has enabled him to discover that this form of energy can in effect cure all bacterial, fungal, protozoan, as well as viral infections. Join me in welcoming Tom as he discusses scalar energy healing. First of all, Tom, I want to give you a warm welcome for being on As Above, So Below Radio. Now, before we begin, I want to emphasize here that the scope of this program is to both educate and entertain the listeners, and not to recommend a substitution for a proper diagnosis for any ailment from a qualified professional specializing in the health-related field. All right, so for any of our listeners out there who may not know who you are, Tom, can you give a brief background about yourself and what got you inspired to go into scalar energy healing?
Sure, thank you. First of all, Martin, thank you for entertaining this discussion, and I look forward to having a fruitful talk about scalar energy and its implications for mankind.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Tom Paladino. I am a scalar energy researcher. Have, for the past 25 years, been intrigued and enthralled with this life force, this fundamental force in nature. I've been inspired by great scientists such as Nikola Tesla, Thomas Gillen, Hieronymus, Thomas Moray, and a number of other scientists who really were at the cutting edge, if you will, the pioneers of scalar energy research in the past century. Sadly, this energy, which pervades the universe, is not attended to. It is not part of our fabric in everyday society, modern day society. And it's my aim to introduce this energy and the benefits that can be derived therefrom.
Okay. Now, can you just define in layman's terms what this form of energy is? I mean, is it electrical? Is it bioelectric? Is it electromagnetic?
Great question.
Sure.
There are two energies in the universe. There's the electromagnetic spectrum that we are familiar with. Electricity, the entire bandwidth. We understand, we can see other forms of energy, such as magnetism.
Right.
Scalar energy is entirely different. Scalar energy is a essence from the sun. The sun of our solar system and the stars produce scalar energy.
Right.
Scalar energy takes the form of a double helix. It is not electricity. It is different. It is quite different. The sun of our solar system and the stars are the points of origin of scalar energy. And sadly, modern day man has missed this life force today.
Right. Okay, well, it's my understanding that it's derived from Tesla technology and that this energy disassembles pathogens. Is that correct?
That's correct. Scalar energy is responsible for forming matter. Scalar energy represents the instructions for matter to assemble, to form. I have uncovered a technique whereby I am able to take scalar energy and disassemble matter, to disassemble pathogens, and I've been quite successful in so doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what's fascinating is that on your website, you posted pictures of you holding unopened packages of light bulbs that were lit by this type of energy. This is, I guess I can use the term similar to using magic when you think about it, you know?
It has a basic scientific principle.
Mm-hmm.
Scalar energy is capable of illuminating objects.
Uh-huh.
What I've done in my laboratory or my home, I have a scalar energy instrument whereby I can assemble matter or disassemble matter,
Mm-hmm.
and I also can illuminate light bulbs within this local environment. Now, this portends great benefit to mankind. That is, if I can illuminate a light bulb effortlessly with wireless transmission, with essentially free energy from the atmosphere,
Right.
then ultimately my goal is to illuminate objects at a distance by way of wireless transmission with scalar energy.
Mm-hmm.
What this means is essentially mankind will eventually have a near infinite source of energy, scalar energy. This energy is clean.
Mm-hmm.
It is safe. It does not have any pollutant or any toxic waste.
Right.
And it also offers the benefit that we do not have to have a grid system. There does not have to be power lines,
Right.
transformers, substations. It's a much less expensive way of power generation. And it will present an entirely new way of living for mankind.
Mm-hmm. Now, you made a trumpeting discovery as of March of 2012 that in effect led you to the conclusion that all viruses can be transmuted by scalar energy. And this energy can, and I'm going to quote this, I'll quote you here, cure all bacterial, fungal, protozoan, and viral infections, unquote, by reducing them to their building block states of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, magnesium, as well as other trace elements. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's fascinating. That's extremely, revolutionary when you think about this.
It is. And how does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I make such a statement?
Right.
Scalar energy is a fundamental force in nature. And as I mentioned, it is responsible for assembling or disassembling matter.
Right.
Now, if we can understand how that works, and we can work with scalar energy to disassemble a germ, a pathogen, then essentially we have mastery over that germ, over that pathogen.
Right.
So with that said, we can take scalar energy and transmit the reverse phase angle of a pathogen,
Mm-hmm.
and thereby break apart, disassemble that germ. And I believe, and I have witnessed that with my work, the ability to disassemble pathogens such as bacteria, fungi, protozoan, and viruses. With that said, to put a capstone on my comments, yes, I believe scalar energy, when properly utilized and understood, will allow us to disassemble all types of pathogens, essentially opening the door to curing all types of pathogenic disease.
Mm-hmm.
Once you eliminate the causative agent of a pathogenic disease, the pathogen itself, the symptoms abate.
Now, have you had any form of retaliation from any governmental agency, such as the FDA?
No, I have not.
No, I ask this because there is an overwhelming consensus that those in power want to keep us drugged and so forth, and want to keep us in a, perpetual state of illness so we can rely solely on prescription medication. And here you make this stunning announcement that this form of energy, this technology, can eradicate practically all forms of illness.
Yes. My statement is, to be specific,
Mm-hmm.
scalar energy can disassemble pathogens. Hence, I believe this opens the door for curing all pathogenic diseases. Now,
Right.
we can look at the medical textbooks. There are probably 40 or 50,000 chronic diseases. What I
Right.
am a fraction of those are caused by pathogens.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, this is the cure, I believe, for all pathogenic disease.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope everybody, including the FDA, would take a serious look at this, would see to the benefits that this offers to mankind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't be naive on this by the same matter. I realize that there are some people who are exclusively motivated by power and money, and that scalar energy, and if it did indeed cure disease, some diseases, would not want that cure simply because it was to be construed a threat to their money and or power.
Mm-hmm.
How sad.
Oh yeah, the medical industry is extremely profitable. And I ask this because something like this, people would need to, in effect, visit their doctors, have any surgery if need be, and it's completely revolutionary. It's non-invasive,
Mhm.
so that's why I was just curious if you had a knock on the door by any governmental agency trying to investigate what you're doing here.
No,
No?
I've had nobody has seriously taken into consideration my research. I've not had any governmental agency contact me.
Uh-huh.
I would welcome that. I have nothing to hide. I have a public website, and
Right.
I demonstrate on that website what I have understood from scalar energy and what I construe could be a great, bright future for mankind.
Right.
You are right. There's a great deal of money that is made in not only the medical community but in also other walks of life, other industries.
Right.
And scalar energy, if properly harnessed and broadly accepted by mankind, will help everybody. This should not be a threat to people.
Mm-hmm.
The medical community could benefit incredibly from this energy.
Right.
I contend, and I do not want to see anybody put out of business. That's
Right.
not the point of my research.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help. I think once the medical community does indeed embrace scalar technology, it will only help their practice. It will only abet their cause. This should not be construed as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
By no means would I approach it in such a negative vein.
Right.
I want to be positive about this, and I am offering my research, my knowledge publicly to anybody who really takes a serious consideration.
Right. Okay. Now, Tom, what about any form of intimidation? We know from history that, people like Royal Raymond Rife was way ahead of his time, and given that his life had taken a perhaps different path, all of us would never fear an illness. We know that the medical industry, as I mentioned before, among other sinister people, were involved in his work being ridiculed and suppressed, that eventually left him penniless. So, my question here is, and forgive me if I'm being blunt here, Tom, but have you been approached by any unscrupulous people, say, to purchase your equipment and pay you off if you just disappear off the quote-unquote radar?
No, that has not happened. Nobody has approached me.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has made me any type of offer or any type of solicitation.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously would not accept such an offer.
Right.
I'm doing this for the benefit of mankind. I myself am not sick. I enjoy superior health.
Mm-hmm.
I see the world suffering, and I see people who are dying, and I realize much of that suffering and death could be alleviated at least,
Mm-hmm.
if we did indeed start accepting scalar energy as a means to abet human health.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, on your website, you state that you work remotely on one's photograph. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Can you further explain this? It's a little bit tricky for me to grasp this concept. To
Sure.
work from one's, I mean, are you working from one's auric field via the use of a photograph? I'm just curious here.
Sure. Sure. I work with people by way of their photograph,
Uh-huh.
meaning somebody will email me a photograph, and I am able to treat that person by virtue of that photograph. The photograph represents the connection between my scalar instrument and the person. Now, the science behind it is profound, but really rather simple. There's a concept known as quantum entanglement, and to a certain extent, and however you would define that, quantum entanglement entails the connection of all physical objects in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, my scalar energy instrument is connected to a person that I'm treating. And the way I send that information out is by way of their photograph. So, to put it in a nutshell and to explain it very simply, once I place a photograph of an individual into my scalar instrument will broadcast energy to that person. The scalar instrument finds that person because the universe is one gigantic hologram.
Mm-hmm.
And this holographic universe, we are able to interconnect with one another by way of scalar energy. Scalar energy is the connection between all physical matter. Now, this has been theorized, and in the process, I believe I am proving that by way of practice. To use an analogy, if two people are speaking on a cell phone, we're able to transmit energy, voice patterns from one phone to another. Now, there's obviously no wire connecting the two cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that analogy also serves for my treatment of people. I have a scalar instrument that offers wireless communication between the scalar instrument and the person being treated. And the representation that I have to make that connection is the way of a photograph. Well, the photograph is essentially analogous to a telephone number. A telephone number allows two cell phones to communicate. That's the frequency by which they communicate. Whereas a photograph is a scalar energy harmonic that allows a scalar energy instrument to communicate with a person.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the website here, which, by the way, is called selfhealgo.com. And you provide a web page of FAQs that go into detail with regard to what I just asked here for anyone who wants to further explore, the work that you do here. Okay, now, you stated before that you had visions from the supernatural. Is that correct, Tom?
That's correct. I believe through prayer and through meditation that God is leading me into this endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the past 20, 25 years of my life, I've had various mystics who have aided me in this journey. In particular, I have received a series of messages from Jesus Christ and the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And these messages have been instructive and encouraging for me to continue on with scalar energy research. Hence, by way of this divine mandate, I believe I'm being led, that I am being illuminated, that I'm being protected, and one day, and I hope that day is coming soon, I hope to be able to demonstrate and to prove to mankind the reality of scalar energy and the tremendous benefits, and how this is really not only a great gift from God, but once incorporated and accepted into everyday life, will change the course of human history for the better, significantly. Many of our problems can be overcome if we incorporate scalar energy on a broad scale basis. I'm convinced of that.
Mm-hmm. Now, mind if I ask, what information did they convey to you? Did they guide you as to how to go about constructing this device? Did they guide you as to how to go about going to the public and telling them, this is what you need to do? Is there like a methodology that they instruct you into how to go about conveying this information out there?
Sure. It's been a step-like process, and this is how God typically works. He'll take matters in a gradual progression.
Uh-huh.
Over the years, my understanding has increased. The instrumentation has sophisticated to the point where I'm using greater scalar energy significantly than I was 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
And again, just to underscore, when it's the divine will, it's always simple. God is simple, and his instructions are simple.
Mm-hmm.
I receive simple instructions from Jesus and Mary as to how to go about my research, how to go about amplifying the energy of scalar energy, and ultimately how I should construct an instrument, and even to the point of what angles I should use and what type of materials I should use in order to achieve a true standing wave, a true scalar energy wave. It's just been a fascinating 20 years for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are trials, there are tribulations, but I see it coming to fruition, and hopefully within this year I will be able to make a public demonstration of scalar energy.
Okay. Now these images, or in this case, these I guess if I can use the term internal locutions, are these being done like in your dreams or in your conscious state?
I would say a combination of both.
Okay.
There are times when I simply know something. It's an afflatus. It's an inspiration.
Uh-huh.
Now, with that, I will ask for a confirmation from 2 or 3 mystics that I'm comfortable with, that I believe are likewise getting messages from Jesus and Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Invariably, I will receive a confirmation that what I am thinking, what I am considering, is true and it's accurate, and hence I proceed therefrom. I am emboldened by this confirmation, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in step-like fashion, I invent, I discover, and month by month, year by year, I have been able to improve my technique.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to just touch upon the concept here about scalar energy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the unified field. This was, I believe, something that Einstein was trying to prove, but he never really got to it. But would it be safe to speculate that the type of energy that you're addressing here in this interview is akin to the unified field? In other words, if you're ever seen, let's say, a Star Wars franchise, I'm going to quote here a famous quote given by a famous character in the movie, it's the Force. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it brings the galaxy together.
Yes, I would consider this to be the unifying force. Now, let me describe what scalar energy is, and then we'll answer that question.
Sure.
Scalar energy is produced. The point of origin is the sun of our solar system and the stars of the universe. So the stars of the universe essentially produce scalar energy. Hence, scalar energy pervades the universe. It is ubiquitous. Now, with that thought in mind, scalar energy not only pervades throughout the universe, but it's responsible for assembling the universe. Without scalar energy, all physical form would fall apart. Now, we've heard the expression order out of chaos.
Right.
There is a medium known as ether, and many great scientists, many great minds have construed that there is a universal medium, that is ether. That ether is all-pervading. And it is my contention that scalar energy takes this ether, the fundamental physical form of the universe, and assembles that ether into atoms, elements, life forms, even planets or galaxies. So, going back to your reference of Star Wars, may the Force be with you.
Mm-hmm.
We could consider that to be scalar energy. Scalar energy is the force that holds together the universe, that gives geometry to the entire universe. When God created the universe, he first created ether, the medium, in which all light can pass through. First you need a medium before you have light. So before God created scalar light, he created the ether. And after that, then he created light, let there be light, and what happened? The universe took shape. It was scalar energy that gave the universe its shape, its order. I am saying that scalar energy are the instructions for the entire universe. Scalar energy serves as God's handiwork, if you will, as his divine instructions for the universe to assemble, to form a specific geometry. And hence we have the term order out of chaos. Mm-hmm. It was scalar energy, scalar light, that gave the universe order out of chaos. Profound.
Okay. Now, Tom, you also go into the role here of scalar energy and chakra healing. Or can you define what you mean by scalar energy and chakra healing? Are we talking about something that involves meditation or anything like that? Can you just go into that?
Sure. I believe, to answer your question, yes, meditation can influence our chakras.
Right.
We define our terms, first of all. A chakra. It's believed, and I think this is accurate and true, that there are 7 chakras in the human body. Mm-hmm. A chakra is nothing more than a light processing point. That is scalar light. The 7 chakras of the human body are the 7 points where scalar energy coalesces. And those 7 points are instruction points for scalar energy to give to the body for proper spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical functions. So when we say that we can take scalar energy and affect the chakras, I believe that indeed is possible, and I believe that my scalar instrument does do that to a certain extent, realign or harmonize the 7 chakras of the body. Mm-hmm. Let me expand upon that.
Sure.
There are a number of people in this world who, as we know, have emotional difficulty, emotional conditions, psychological problems.
Right.
I believe in large part a psychological condition, an emotional condition, is really a problem with the chakras. I believe emotional disturbances can be traced to an imbalance in the 7 chakras of the human body. And it's my contention that if we were to align the 7 chakras, if we were to harmonize those 7 chakras, that we could fundamentally address emotional problems, emotional conditions, mm-hmm. Depression, anxiety, even addictions. I think a lot of that stems from the imbalance, once again, of our chakras.
Yeah, you have a whole laundry list here of disorders that when the body is properly assimilated by this device, and it's you can treat loss of memory, let's see, ADHA, schizophrenia, post-traumatic stress disorder, binge eating disorder, dissociative identity disorder, stuttering, bipolar disorder, among others, even depression. And this would be this announcement that you've made would prove a huge blessing to those suffering from mental illness. Number one, because we live in a stressful world, which makes us almost impossible to resist succumbing to depression. And number two, if you are diagnosed as, say, having a bipolar disorder, you're literally putting your fate, your health, into the hands of any psychiatrist. Now, you've also stated another breakthrough with those afflicted with herpes. Is that correct?
Yes, I've been treating people for the past 2.5 months for herpes infection,
Mm-hmm.
and a number of these people have reported that they are now asymptomatic, that there are no prevailing symptoms of the herpes infection.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, after 2 months or so of treating people, some of them report that they no longer have fever blisters. There are no more outbreaks of herpes. Now, this is still in the works. I can't say definitively that this will be the cure for herpes, but I think we're on the correct path. I believe Scalar Energy is offering great promise, and this summer I have it in mind to truly understand how to get into the RNA and DNA of a virus. And if I can do that with scalar energy, then I can disassemble the nucleic acid. And as such, if I can disassemble the nucleic acid of a virus, then that virus will be non-functioning. We will essentially destroy that virus.
So the virus wouldn't replicate, in other words, right?
Exactly. We will stop the replication. We will stop the virus's infectivity.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can do that, and if I can prove that, then yes, that opens the door for the cure, essentially for all viral infection.
Well, yes, I was going to ask you another question in regards to what I just asked. Um, this would be a stunning leap because, with this type of technology, conceivably, you'd be able to cure the AIDS virus. Is that correct here?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. I believe once I understand the proper harmonic and the proper way to administer the reverse phase angle harmonic of a virus,
Mm-hmm.
that I should be able to disassemble any RNA and or DNA of a virus. If that indeed proves to be the case, then yes, I can incapacitate a virus. That opens the door for the cure for AIDS, herpes, hepatitis, etc.
Right, right. What about other mainstream diseases that are affecting the masses, such as diabetes? Do you have any success in this?
My success with diabetes is marginal. No, I cannot cure diabetes. I believe diabetes will be a multi-point approach. I think diet has a great deal to do with that,
Mm-hmm.
nutrition. Perhaps in some way there needs to be a pathogenic cleansing. How do you get the body to respond in a hormonal sense and produce the correct amount of insulin, etc., to properly metabolize?
Right.
I do not right now have a solution for diabetes. I'm sorry. That's one of the diseases that I really don't spend much time with at the present moment.
Mm-hmm. So, Tom, let's just say that I'm let's say I'm a client, potential client of yours, and I'm listening to this broadcast, and I decide to contact you via your website. Um, what steps would I need to take aside from, let's say, emailing you a digital photograph or a regular photograph of myself? I mean, would I need to fast for 24 hours? Would I need to restrict my diet for the 24 hours or 48 hours before you conduct this treatment? How long will the treatment last?
Good question.
Yeah.
It's my experience with scalar energy treatments, people do not need to make any lifestyle change.
Mm-hmm.
I encourage people to live a normal life, to follow their regimen, to follow any type of dietary stricture that they've observed, any type of medical advice, continue on, do not change anything. My experience is that scalar energy will work hand in hand with anybody's lifestyle. You do not have to fast. You do not have to prepare for these treatments. Simply live a normal lifestyle, and as you do, the scalar energy treatments will serve to improve your health.
Okay. Now, you've also found success in healing staph infections, especially on the face. Is that correct?
Yes, I've had good success with Staphylococcus, correct.
hmm Now, I find this interesting because some of the staph infections, especially MRSA, seem to be resistant to our most potent antibiotics. So, I'm assuming you found a way around that with this technology. Is that correct?
I have, and let me explain how in detail how I treat
Sure.
Staphylococcus aureus or MRSA.
hmm
Um, when I treat for a particular pathogen germ, uh, I'm enabled to do so by way of a photograph. Let me explain. I have photographs of pathogens, germs, magnified photographs of germs. I will take a magnified photograph of a germ and place it inside my scalar energy instrument. My instrument then picks up the harmonic, the life essence, if you will, of that germ.
hmm
I then instruct my scalar energy instrument to broadcast the reverse phase angle of that germ, that pathogen, into a person.
Right.
Now, in so doing, the reverse phase angle of Staphylococcus aureus, once it enters into a person, will instruct the germ, Staphylococcus aureus, to simply break apart, to disassemble. And probably the best and the immediate analogy that I can use is that of an opera singer who can shatter glass with her voice.
hmm
Some people are able to sing to make a glass vibrate using the same tonal quality, if you will, and glass will shatter. Well, that's the law of resonance. And essentially, in so many words, I can use scalar energy and apply that same principle and perform a treatment with scalar energy and disassemble a germ, in this case, Staphylococcus aureus.
Interesting. Okay, now, just out of curiosity, do you believe that you're actually rediscovering technology that was once used in the remote past by the ancients? Perhaps, say, the Egyptians or even the Atlanteans.
I don't know. I can't answer that. We study ancient history and we realize that
hmm
there were many advances that these civilizations had. Um, I am inclined to believe that many of these civilizations understood scalar energy. Now, whether they ever found a means to work with it and to replicate it, I don't know.
Right.
Why do I say that? Well, scalar energy, another term for scalar energy is chi or prana or life force or 0 point energy. Now, we can look at ancient history, and the term prana and chi is found throughout the annals of history. Yes, I believe that the ancients have come across scalar energy and have at least ascribed to it. Now, does that mean they ever developed a functioning model, an instrument to indeed broadcast scalar energy? I've never come across that in my studies, no.
Okay. Now, Tom, can you just go into, let's say, a typical protocol and how you address someone's ailment? Let's just say that I email you a photograph of myself. What steps would you take um, to heal this person remotely?
Sure, sure. I have a three-step process, and I'll explain each process in detail.
Sure.
I have what is called first a pathogenic cleansing.
hmm
If somebody were to send me a photograph, I've devised a protocol whereby I can address over 5,500 different species of germs, pathogens, and I am able to disassemble, to send the reverse phase angle of those 5,500 germs, broadcast that reverse phase angle into a person, and essentially disassemble the germ inside their body. That's what I call a pathogenic cleanse.
hmm
Next, secondly, I have an approach whereby I am able to assemble nutrients inside the human body. I assemble vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, amino acids, phytochemicals, fatty acids inside the human body. And I can do that by instructing my scalar energy instrument to assemble these essential nutrients. For instance, I understand how to assemble vitamin C inside the body. That's one of the essential nutrients that I will instruct my instrument to indeed form, to assemble.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in so doing, I am working at the cellular level. My scalar instrument will assemble these micronutrients at the cellular level. So essentially what I am getting at is this is a perfect delivery system for the body to assimilate, form, assemble nutrients that are essential. It's quite superior to that of taking a supplement, because a supplement has to dissolve throughout the bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
What I am saying with scalar energy, it's a fundamental process in which every cell essentially becomes a factory for a nutrient. Every cell assembles the essential nutrients that are needed for optimal health. It's quite profound.
Right.
And last, the third treatment is a chakra realignment. And that works by virtue of the fact that scalar energy, I have found, will, by its nature, realign the 7 chakras. Now, I don't do anything specific to realign a chakra. I simply have a strong enough scalar instrument whereby I have witnessed that my scalar energy from my instrument will indeed help people to harmonize, to rebalance their 7 chakras, to the extent that some people overcome mental depression, anxiety. Many people sleep in a much more sound and meaningful way with this scalar energy realignment of the chakras. So those are the 3 steps that I take when treating people.
Yes, you also have been successful in treating arthritis with scalar energy as well, correct?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I've treated many people with arthritis. I would say the majority see an improvement in their health. Some see a significant improvement in their health.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I would say that the disassembling of germs will help, will abet many people with arthritis. Many people have their movement impinged upon. Their mobility is essentially a problem. There is inflammation, and sometimes that can be pinpointed to what? Pathogenic infection.
Mm-hmm.
If we eliminate the pathogen, the body will heal itself. We won't have that inflammation in our joints.
Right.
Secondly, I understand that many people with arthritis have poor nutrition, or they simply cannot assimilate the nutrients that they need to. Now, with the nutrient program that I offer, again, to underscore this treatment, every cell in the body becomes a factory for micronutrients. So what may have been poor absorption, malabsorption in the past is now circumvented. Why? Scalar energy will assemble, again, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, antioxidants inside the cell of the body, thereby assuring the proper nutrition, assuring the proper assimilation of these essential nutrients.
It's very it's very interesting. Okay, now, it's my understanding that you perform your healing from your home. Is that correct? There's no office that one can visit you?
I have a small laboratory. Nobody's ever taken me up on it yet. Nobody's ever asked to witness what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be happy to show people, but I just haven't garnered that type of interest yet.
Right. And it's my understanding that you get inquiries from people all over the world. Is that correct?
That's correct. Presently, I'm treating people from Australia, New Zealand, England, Great Britain, through everywhere.
Hmm.
All 5 continents essentially have contacted me for treatments.
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay. So, getting back to with using a photograph of the person, this is doesn't have to be an entire, let's say, photograph of the body, just it can be a headshot as well.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
The scalar energy instrument that I have will decipher a person's scalar energy harmonic. By that I mean everybody has a specific harmonic that's associated with scalar energy, just as your DNA would be unique or your fingerprint would be unique, so as your harmonic of scalar energy. That likewise is unique to your person. So
Hmm.
when people send me photographs for treatment, all I need is a bus shot, or some people who prefer privacy will send me a photograph of their hand only. They don't want to reveal their face,
Right.
and that's fine. I've treated many people successfully just by way of their hand, just by way of a photograph of their hand.
Right. Okay. When I hear you mention this, it seems as if though, well, let me ask you this. Would it be proper to speculate that you're possibly working with psychic forces here? I mean, it sounds like it because what comes to mind here when I hear you are the healings performed by Edgar Casey, who was able to make a diagnosis of the person seeking the healing when the patient could not be present with them physically, sort of like remote healing.
Sure, sure. Let me address that.
Sure.
Um, are, are, are there psychic powers? Yes. Let me expand upon that.
Sure.
It's my understanding that scalar energy is a prayer, is a thought. Meaning, when we pray, there is actually an emanation of scalar energy. To pray is to emit, is to broadcast scalar energy. To think, when we think, that's some type of scalar energy emanation. Thinking is a scalar energy process. Emotions, to love, to yearn for, to have compassion, those are all likewise scalar energy expressions, scalar energy emanations. Now, we understand that there is a psychic world. Many people have often wondered, well, some people have this incredible psychic power. How can I define that? Well, let's first define the term. What is a psychic power? I believe psychic power is scalar energy power.
Hmm.
I believe some people are gifted by God and they have this exceptional psychic power, which is scalar energy power. Now, what are examples of that? Some people have incredible memory. We remember the movie Rain Man.
Right.
It was semi-autobiographical. There was an actual man that the movie was modeled after. His name was Lawrence Peake.
Hmm.
This man, in his lifetime, memorized over 12,000 books, volumes. Now, that is a superhuman feat, and he did this memorization effortlessly.
Hmm.
I contend that he had a certain psychic ability that was essentially a scalar energy ability that allowed him to memorize books. Just by reading a book once, he could memorize anything verbatim. Okay, let me extend that now. There are some people who have the power of prayer. Their prayer is very powerful. I believe they're emanating, in essence, scalar energy when they pray. Some people have healing hands. They can lay hands on somebody and that person can be healed.
Hmm.
I believe healing hands is an emanation of scalar energy. So people who can lay their hands on you and you are cured, I think that is an expression of scalar energy in their hands. So we see that the division, that this demarcation between religion and science really is false and inappropriate. God created everything, and it's man who tries to compartmentalize and to demarcate these various sciences, these various healing gifts, this various realm of psychic power.
Hmm.
Psychic power, in my estimation, is nothing more than scalar energy in operation and to be realized. And various people have developed these gifts, or God has given them the ability to express it. I believe that in the future, many people, once we understand how scalar energy works, will be able to benefit from these powers.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Now, I'm going to ask you probably a very unusual question here. I don't think you've been asked this before, but what about an unborn fetus? Let's just say the parents of a expecting child is or has been diagnosed with a serious ailment, and rather than concede to traditional um, therapy or invasive surgery, you know, in our modern world, they decide to take an alternate route. In this case, supplying scalar energy. Have you ever been approached by anyone, with the scenario that I just described? Where they want to visit you to see if you can try to heal, their child still in the womb.
Yeah, I've not been approached anybody to treat a child in vivo, in the womb yet.
Would it be theoretically possible to do this?
Yes, yes. I believe that if I were to have a photograph of a mother and that mother was pregnant, by treating the mother, I would, by virtue of that fact, be treating the infant in the womb. And both of them would experience this scalar energy simultaneously. That's a great question.
Interesting. Okay. Now, Tom, I also heard you mention that Tesla's work isn't finished yet. Do you believe that you're here on Earth to continue on with his work?
I do, and I believe millions of other people are here to continue on with Tesla's work. We all have to humble ourselves and realize that we stand upon the shoulders of giants. And we could even extend that, Martin, to our parents. We would not be here today if it wasn't for our parents.
Right.
So, and we're going to have a humble disposition, and we're going to say, yes, we owe it to our predecessors as to where we are today. Tesla, sadly, has still not gotten the recognition that he's due. He, in my estimation, was one of the greatest scientists of all time, perhaps the greatest electrical engineer the world has ever known. And later in his life, he developed his theories, and his inventions reflected scalar energy. I believe his best days are yet to come. Even though he's long since deceased, I believe this world will eventually begin to grasp the genius of Nikola Tesla, and in a posthumous sense, we will give him great honor by developing these scalar energy instruments for the benefit of mankind, for the advancement of man, by all means.
Interesting. So, Tom, do you have a book in mind that you're thinking of writing? I mean, do you have something to maybe leave after your journey here on Earth so that people will know about you? This is something which, as I mentioned before in our conversation, that this is a revolutionary technology, and I was just curious if you had in mind maybe writing a book.
I'm considering writing a book, but I would still consider myself a novice at scalar energy, and I'm not trying to be too self-effacing about this. I do write articles about scalar energy. They are brief articles. I hope they're at least pithy and they hit the mark. Perhaps someday I will write a book about scalar energy, but I would do so in collaboration with other great scientists who have, I believe, an equal, if not even a better understanding of scalar energy than I do. There are men and women today who have devoted a great deal of time and energy to uncovering the mysteries of scalar energy. To answer your question, Martin, the book, that's a few years down the road. yes, I would consider that. In the interim, I offer short articles on my website that give an insight as to what I've discovered and what I construe to be the potential for scalar energy in its proper application.
Okay. Okay, Tom, so we're approaching the end of the first hour. Would you care to remind our listeners on how they can reach you?
Sure. My website is www.selfhealgo.com. There's many articles and testimonials that you can peruse. If you have any questions, by all means, you can write to me, or there's a telephone number that's available on the website. And any serious inquiry I take seriously, and I will respond to you, by all means.
Okay. Now, people can also go to your site and donate, correct?
They can, and that's always a big help, Mark.
Right.
I can't do this alone.
Right.
Any endeavor takes time, talent, and treasure. Sadly, I am alone. Nobody has approached me to help me on this. There's many people who are interested, but this takes full-time collaboration. Now, with that said, I welcome anybody who wants to jump into this and to devote their life to this. That is essentially how scalar energy will advance. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes sacrifice. It's really a full-time job. This is all I do. This is my passion right now. This is what God wants me to do. And as one man, I can only do so much. Again, I offer this to anybody. This is going to take a team effort. I welcome anybody who is sincere, but who also wants to spend that time and make that sacrifice. It's an undertaking.
Okay. You have any closing comments you'd like to make for our listeners, Tom?
Sure. First of all, I want to thank everybody for listening and for spending the time, for making that sacrifice. If you do feel so inclined to help with scalar energy, contact me. I would love to work with you. I emphasize that this is a team approach, that not one person or a small group of people will be able to effectuate this. This will take a worldwide movement. Scalar energy will catapult mankind into the future. This will be such a benefit. We will be able to overcome so many problems, so many difficulties with the proper administration of scalar energy. It's just waiting for the right group of people to get together and to make this a reality. I simply want to introduce this to mankind. I was told 20 years ago by Jesus, it is my position to introduce this to mankind. That's all. I am here to introduce scalar energy to a broad audience.
Interesting. Okay. Well, great. Well, I appreciate you taking the time here to chat with me for the first hour, and I look forward to the second hour. Thanks again, Tom, and we'll chat again soon.
Thank you so much, Martin, for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Take care. That's it for the first hour on As Above, So Below Radio. Tune in for the second hour by subscribing to HolisticAdvocate.com, where Tom will further impart his insights on scalar energy technology being used as a weapon. Can it be used to destroy living tissue? The Shroud of Turin. Was it created as a result of scalar energy? Using scalar energy to remotely illuminate a former bank building in Clearwater, Florida. And the ancients. Did they actually tap into scalar energy through prayer? And much more. listening to As Above, So Below Radio.